my video is all about recovery from addiction to either substance or behaviour, or both. My substance, alcohol, recovering alcoholic on a daily basis. Behaviour, anything you wanted me to be. Very much a people pleaser, so I could be liked or loved. And I was always fearful, I guess, of not measuring up either to my own standards or anybody else's, because I set my standards so high. I don't know, I kept on chasing a dream, I guess, of being perfect, and never so. That's the awfulness of really, when we feel less than, we try and overcompensate. And, you know, in this life we have nothing to prove to other people. In this life it's about being happy, or as happy as we can be with what is going on. So the more we're in touch with reality on a daily basis, the real life, or facing life on life's terms, be it good, indifferent or awful, whatever your measures are, I suspect the right ones are around spiritual, emotional and physical well-being. And to be well means that we can face whatever comes our way as best we can, and do it with support and help and challenge from others. So what helps me most these days is being in fellowship. It makes life work for me. Fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous. And I make no apology for that. AA and the people in it, all as individuals, unique and authentic, get together for one reason, and it's summed up in the Serenity Prayer, well I'll come to that at the end, but it's summed up in the preamble that is shared at every meeting. So just a reminder, we are all unique, authentic people, and we all have our life journey just where it is for today. So when I go to meetings of AA, we share this preamble, and it really explains what fellowship is all about for me. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organisation or institution, does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. And in that last sentence where it says, our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety, is really one of the traditions as well. And the reason for going to AA is to keep sober one day at a time, and people can go as often or as little as they choose. There are recommendations or suggestions about how to get started, and then we follow our path, because it's our unique, authentic path of living. And when we are diverted from it, we need to ask ourselves why. So often the world as it is, where it's always measuring our material substance and our, I mean that in substance, not taking or using a substance, it's just what we have, our material wealth maybe a measure, and how useful we are to other people, which is our commodity of labour, what we do for a living. So when we apply those things to ourselves, we are probably not using very helpful measures, because we will never be good enough, and we will always have a challenge to rise above and somewhere. And actually, if we get to a place where we can actually measure our progress simply as we go along in one day, how are we feeling emotionally, spiritually and physically, we have the right ingredients to find something which works just for now. And the power of now is being here, being present, not tormented by denials or not tormented by other people's ideas of what we ought to be, but just simply having nothing to prove and enjoying the moment, or not enjoying it. And you know, life is 50-50 or 75-25, something on any day. Excuse me, it could be 75% to the good, or it could be 25% to the good, and the rest could be indifferent or horrible. Because some of life is horrible, and you know, one of the things about recovery from addiction is we get our fair share of good and bad, or good and indifferent, or not good. It's just the way life is, life on life's terms. So, you know, my mum and my sister are back from holiday, and they've had a good time, and I just spoke to my mother, and she reminded me when she was away that we need to really understand we have nothing to prove to other people. What we have is a life, and if we can find happiness in it, be content, be peaceful, learn more, be ourselves. What more could we ask for? You know, what are the measures of living? and simply not having any is probably the first starting point. And then when we have to be measured in some way because of performance in that world of work or materialism, we need ask ourselves, what do we need rather than what do we want? Because needs cover the basics and make life worth having and simple, and wants often make it very complicated, and we're always stuck with something more that we want rather than need. So that's just as life may be. So is it about fellowship stuff? Yes, probably. I've been to 2 meetings yesterday, one a spiritual one, which is learning how to be in the day, and another one which was simply about experience, strength and hope of being in recovery. And every person's story is valid and shows wisdom, because once we get to sobriety, where most normal people are, hopefully, although I wonder what normal is these days, where we can be normal in our own understanding of just one day, then we have a fighting chance. And I used this book here, Daily Reflections, which is a 1-pager, a bit of reflection, as it says, on a daily basis to keep me on track and sober. And as Bill sees it, this one is as many pages as you like on a daily basis if you're suffering or just want some wisdom and something to mull over to understand how this day could be for us. So in this one, Daily Reflections, it covers the 12 steps of the action program for individuals. So AA's 12 steps, all about being utilised and experienced in the day. So we experience living the 12 steps rather than learning them. We learn them in the beginning, then we start to put them into practice. And the gift of the 12 steps is it just keeps us right-sized, a part of, no bigger, no smaller than anybody else on the planet. And we're not trying to push people down or away or include them so we can control them. It's about letting go and letting life be there, to be experienced. And I halted and hesitated because living the experience of life is experiencing how life may be. And if we have less denials and less filters, we are on the right path. So for today, in the daily reflections, it's May, so it's the 5th step, all about sharing our fear-less moral inventory. That's our assets and liabilities, which we wrote down in step 4 in April. It doesn't work like that, we do it at our own pace, but we've got 12 months and 12 steps in this one. So for May 17th it says, and forgive. Under very trying conditions I have had again and again to forgive others, also myself. As Bill sees it, page 268, so I'll get to that later in the year, in the As Bill sees it. And it says here, forgiveness and self-forgiveness of others are just 2 currents in the same river, both hindered or shut off completely by the dam of resentment. Once that dam of resentment is lifted, both currents can flow. The steps of AA allow me to see how resentment has built up and subsequently blocked off this flow in my life. The steps provide a way by which my resentments may, by the grace of God, or good conscience, whichever is for you, as I understand him, to be lifted. It is as a result of this solution that I can find the necessary grace which enables me to forgive myself and others. And the absolute in there is, how do we forgive? How do we forgive ourselves for becoming addicts? And understand that we have a disease which will kill us sooner rather than later, or shorten our lives and make it very unpleasant towards the end. So this thing of forgive and forgive and forgive, if we didn't forgive others for how they treated us when they just didn't understand us and what was wrong, and if we can't forgive others when they do harm, where do we get forgiveness for ourselves? So we really have to start at home and say, really, how do we forgive? How do we be included? How do we be included in life? How do we remain a part of? And that is to examine how we live our lives as we go. And even when people are at their worst, they are actually trying to do their best. They are often reacting to... So anyway, I'm in danger of going on too long, so I try to end these videos with the Serenity Prayer, which is to God or your good conscience, or the good conscience that mankind has. And the Serenity Prayer goes like this: God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.